Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Ritchie Thomas, the Soldiers Coach, coming to you with my first Saturday sessions here live on LinkedIn. I absolutely love this platform, and we're streaming across a couple others as well, but LinkedIn is my baby. So we're going to be talking about on today's show, if I was transitioning out of the military in the year of 2022, what would my mindset be? What would my strategies be for the year of transitioning in 2022? So let's jump right in and roll that beautiful bean footage.
That's good.
All right, everyone. Once again, this is Ritchie Thomas, the Soldiers Coach, and we are coming to you with our first Saturday sessions of a Soldiers Coach here in 2022. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's been a monster already here in the new year, but we all made it. Hopefully, those of us still here in 2021 has had its foot all the way up our ass. But we made it, so thank you to those who've made it. I'm grateful for you guys and your journey. It's been a lot, right? So it's crazy that COVID is pushing 2 years here in March, in a couple months. This is just, it feels like an absolute, like I've blinked and 2 years of our lives have gone. So I'm always curious what the long-term impacts will be of COVID, just on the emotional roller coaster that it's been. So, but I'm grateful you guys are still here. So let's talk about 2022. So if I was in the Army today, one of them crazy ass Marines, love you guys, our men and women in the Air Force, sailors, Coast Guards, can't forget about Space Force. Hey, service to service, and of course our brothers and sisters in Coast Guard. But if I was getting ready to transition out, with everything going on with COVID, I mean, the economy is all over the place. You know, unemployment, job security is a mess. Just as a reminder, there are five big issues in the veteran community that go as follows. Unemployment has been and always will be the first, second, and third biggest issue, because we are trained for combat and not commerce. We are trained for the combat battlefield and not the economic battlefield. So unemployment has always been the biggest enemy of veterans. So it's largely why I started this platform, right? So unemployment's number one. The second biggest issue is mental health. So they say that half the country suffers from depression, the other half suffers from anxiety. So collectively we have a fear of the past and a fear of the future, which a lot of times can lead to suicide. So mental health is the second biggest issue in the veteran community. The third biggest issue is homelessness. Don't believe me? Go to your nearest big city, pull up downtown, and tell me how many homeless people you see standing at the corner, and how many of them have a street sign saying, I'm a veteran, God bless, right? The official survey is like 1 out of 4 homeless people are veterans, right? So that's the third biggest issue. The fourth biggest issue is physical injuries, right? I'm all banged up. You know, my 6 years up in the military at Fort Bragg, but physical injury is number 4. And the fifth biggest issue in the veteran community is lack of education. So a lot of people will get out of the military and not finish a degree, which is insane because it's paid for, tuition assistance, the GI Bill. It's crazy, but those are the 5 big issues in the veteran community. So a lot of times we're preparing for an enemy over there and over there, but a lot of times there's an enemy going on here and up here. So our mindset needs to be really sharpened, and the biggest issue really is that we never mentally transition out of the military. We're stuck seeing ourselves, selling ourselves, and branding ourselves to the marketplace as soldiers, and soldiers don't get hired, business professionals do. So the first thing I would be thinking about is just mentally, where am I? So make sure we're writing this down. Mentally, where am I today, tomorrow, a month from now, whenever you're transitioning out of the military? Where am I? When you look in the mirror, how do you see yourself? If you look at your resume, I always like to give my resume to not even friends and family, to strangers. Hey, give me a quick 30-second feedback on my resume. How does it look like I'm selling myself? And you know, a lot of people say, yo, go on my LinkedIn. How does my LinkedIn look? Like, how am I just selling myself? What is my professional brand? So it's how you see yourself, sell yourself, and brand yourself. So mentally, how do we need to level up to do that, right? So Mentality is everything to me, because I think a lot of soldiers are just stuck in the mindset of soldiers. Like, I love and I hate that great speech, the captain in the Navy who make your bed. The speech went viral, killed it on YouTube, which is the number one motivational video a couple years ago. It was make your bed, make your bed, make your bed. No, don't make your bed, because there's no inspection tomorrow, right? Ain't nobody coming to check your gig line, the way you're dressed. There's no room inspection, but we're stuck in this mindset, the mentality of military. But the reality is that military service is a contract. It has an end date. You cannot wear the uniform forever. But we all sell ourselves, and we're just stuck mentally in the mindset of the military. So what do we need to do to mentally transition? And I believe, it's my hope and my goal, before everybody transitions out of the military, the smartest thing that you could do is start a business. I don't give a damn what it's in. Selling cookies, bake pie, cut hair, cut grass. But you need to practice business to mentally transition from a soldier's mindset to a business professional's mindset. And I always feel like the best way to do something is to do it. Like, I don't want to read books about swimming. I don't want to read books about best technique of swimming. Like, get your ass in the pool and do them laps, right? But you need guidance, you need a coach, you need structure for all of that stuff. But I think that's what the big change in military transition needs to happen. Is I would love to see everybody establish a business, preferably in their name, before they get out of the military, to combat this unemployment monster. So if no one's going to hire you, it's like, just hire yourself, right? Whatever job you're looking for, just create that job and create a system around it. So I believe that everybody should transition, before they transition, should have a business so that they can mentally transition. Doesn't matter if that business does well or not, but it's the best way to learn business. Because the reality is, America, this is a capitalistic society. It's not good or bad, it's just what it is. So if everything runs on the dollar, you need to know how to produce consistently a dollar, right? So I think the best way to do that is establishing your own business. And I think it's hard to start a business if you don't understand what it is. So I want y'all to mentally transition from seeing yourself and looking at everything from the perspective of a soldier, and I want you to start looking at things with the perspective of a CEO, because the reality is you are a CEO. We all are. Many of us just don't know it. You're the CEO of your own career, right? I learned that from Dr. Dennis Kimbrough, a really, really dope college professor at Clark, Atlanta. He's got one of the best books ever, The Wealth Choice. Check it out. But mentally, is probably my biggest thing I'm worried about. I want you guys to always think and see yourself as a CEO, as a business CEO of your own career. And it's just hard to do that when you're thinking about the motor pool and the gun range and this military lifestyle all the time. Because if you did a official survey or unofficial survey of all the big, small, medium businesses in the country, they have 5 big areas really in business, right? Sales, finance, marketing, IT, business ops, HR type of stuff. There's no department of soldiers. There's no department of sailors. There's no department of Marines. There's no department for Coast Guard. There's no veterans department in each business. And you can test this by just walk out to 5 businesses outside your neighborhood. What's the 5 closest businesses, big or small? The gas station, the bakery, the grocery store. Look at what departments they have. How would you sell yourself to them? Oh, I'm a soldier, I'm a veteran. That's awesome. How are you really why should they hire you? So it's important to understand, I won't say the enemy, but in the art of war, and we're trained for battle. It's like I would treat unemployment in your transition like it's a war. How are you going to study this competition? So the best way to do that, I'm saying mentally, is to lock in, to see yourself as what you really are, as a business professional. We all are. If you're over 16 and you live in this country, you are in the business of business. Many of us just don't know that. So I want you guys to mentally transition how you see yourselves, and I believe that the best way to do that is to start a business. So your mindset is number 1 for 2022. Mindset. I want y'all to have the mindset of a CEO. The second biggest thing I'll be thinking about, obviously, in 2022 transition, it would probably be money, obviously, right? So we're all in this to earn something. We got to survive, pay the rent, food, mortgage. gas, groceries, whatever, your car shopping like myself, you can never ever earn enough money. I don't care what anybody says. But I want you to come up with a plan for your money, right? So we talked about mindset was number one, but we need to have a plan for our money for number two. How are you going to match or potentially out-earn the money that you are currently making while you're in the military, right? So you should have whether you make $5,000 a month or $10,000 a month, how are you planning to match that on the outside? Someone once told me you should have a part-time gig, a side hustle that will match your main hustle. So you should be able to, the goal should be to match part-time with what you make full-time, even if that's baby steps. I don't care if it takes you a year, quarter, 6 months, monthly, whatever it takes, but you should be able to eventually, by 30, you should be able to have two incomes that can basically coexist. Think of it as your spare tire. So what is the plan for 2022 for you guys to match part-time what you were making full-time in the military, with us through investments, owning a franchise, creating a consultancy? Like, what are you trying to do on the outside of the military that can consistently produce income for you, your family, for economic safety? We are still in the middle of a global pandemic. So even if you get out of the military tomorrow, you got a job offer on Monday, there's no guarantee that job's going to be there by Tuesday. Because if COVID has shown us anything, there is no such thing as economic safety for you and your family. So I want you guys to be able to establish multiple streams of income, and I want you to get very, very creative in how to do that. I would pick up a book, one of my books, The Mediocre Miracle. I have some strategies in there to do that, and the personal MBA, and sell like crazy. I'm always try to have a book in my hand, because I'm always trying to study different forms of revenue for the family. Because in my transition out of the military, I was unemployed twice, and it's a nightmare. So I want you to come up 2022 with some real tangible goals. Goals is like a dream with a deadline. So in the next 90 days, I will produce X amount of dollars that should match what I make in the military. Even if you can't start to earn that, you should have a plan to produce that, right? So what is the plan? What is the implementation? What is the strategy about earning additional revenue for you and your family? So mindset's number one, money is number two. So important. I don't want you to chase profits necessarily, but you should know how to produce profits in the event that you lose your job. Or you will technically lose your job as you're transitioning out of the military, but you should have something lined up. And again, because of COVID, it's fundamentally clear that you should have a strong plan. B, C, D, E, and F. You got 26 letters in the alphabet, 26 plans, right? So number three, this is probably my favorite one, is mentors. I want you to find 5 mentors outside of the military. 5. Not 4, not 3, not 2, not 1, 5. I need you to find 5 mentors outside of the military who can help you mentally transition from a soldier to a CEO. I want you to find 5 people that can help you with your money, and just find 5 people that can help you see yourself as more than just a soldier that you've been trained to be. So find 5 mentors. They say that the average NFL team has 19 head coaches. 19 head coaches. You got 11 positions on the team. There's a coach for every position. There's an assistant coach, but they have 19 filters, 19 barriers or hurdles to prevent failure. So I say get 5, but even in my circle, I have like 16 coaches. It's kind of wild. I got a relationship coach. I got a physical fitness coach before I broke my damn ankle. Just career coaches inside and outside. It's just, I've got as many coaches as I can, because I was trying to mimic their success and study their habits, study their systems, study their structure. I like to read things into memory. So I surrounded myself with people who I wanted to be like. And it has been absolutely life-changing for me, because when I first got out of the military, I had no mentors who were outside of the military, outside of like family, right? So I want y'all to find 5 mentors who are killing it. I don't care where they are. Find them, get to them, meet them in person, face to face. Find people who are living a level, who are living on a level that you would like to be like, right? So find 5 mentors who you could copy their success and learn from. It doesn't always have to be business. and whatnot. But even if it's a spiritual coach, like I said, a relationship coach, a financial coach, physical fitness coach, I just want you to pick the brains of people who are not in the military. Very, very important. Mentors. The fourth thing I'd be thinking of is the model that you need to be creating for yourself. The military was really, really dope because of all the structure in it. How are you going to replace that structure? What kind of model are you going to live by? Like, I had a coach who's a personal trainer. This dude eats, sleeps, and breathes physical fitness. He didn't take a day off, didn't take a meal off. I was just blown away by the model, the example that he set for himself. He said he hated going grocery shopping because he would be in there for hours, because he would be reading the labels of everything. I want to know whatever's in this food. I want to know before I put it in my body. He was like this world-class, and Google this guy, Rashad. I forget his last name. He's amazing. He owns Planet Fitness here in Mableton, Georgia. He's incredible. But his model for how well he preserved his body and nutrition and protein, it was really, really amazing to me. I mean, getting up at 4:30, he's working out 3-4 hours, training people, but he was just so locked in. He was a mentor for me, but also he laid out a great model for me. Now I have to implement the model, but he was a great model he had a great system, right? So think about, like, if you're going to work out somewhere and they have a P90X, like, what is your P90X now that you're transitioning out of the military? The military had its own structure and system to follow. What is going to be your system for success now that you're transitioning out of the military? So who can we find as a mentor, but also what is their model that we're living by? We can't just say, hey, this is the end goal. Jeff Bezos got $1 billion. I want $1 billion too. How did he get there? What books did he read? What was his day-to-day plan? Like, I want to know what these people are eating for breakfast, brunch, lunch, dinner, midnight snack. How many times, like, I want to know their whole, like, give me your itinerary for the day, for the year, for a decade, and then we can copy paste that into our own. So what model are you going to build now that you transition? I think for me, I used to hate PT. It was like, oh, I'm never going to run, push up, exercise again, because it was just like pain. That did not work out so well. So ensure, for example, physical fitness is a part of your routine, because it does wonders as well for the mental and emotional aspect, right? I have put on like 25 pounds since COVID in my ankles, all right? So I have a poor model for exercise, and I'm trying to get better at that. So this is just an example, but there's also need to be a model for finances, or a model for your marriage, or a model for your, not just new career that you're gonna have now that you're transitioning out, but what is the model for, your side hustle? Like, every area of your life essentially should have a system, right? So there are 4 or 5 big areas, like for your relationships, your money, your mindset, your marriage, community overall. But again, your personal education, formal education, but your career. But there should be some system and some structure for each of those areas so that you can be successful. And you can find that from a mentor, as I previously mentioned, but a model, a system, a structure that will make or break you in your transition. You can't just go out and chase a 6-figure job. You need a 6-figure balance, if that makes sense, right? So model is number 4. And last but not least is the military itself. I believe that everything in life is a lesson, right? So it's a lesson or it's a blessing. And if you were in the military for 5 years or 25 years, you learned something. And theoretically, you should have learned something new every day. It's the small things in life, right? How to treat people, how to fix a car, whatever it is you were in the military for, it doesn't matter. But there was a lesson in everything. What was the highlight reel of your military service? What'd you do right? What'd you do wrong? What'd you learn from your commander, your sergeant major? What were the life lessons each individual taught you? What did you pull from them? I'll give you a great example. One of the greatest leaders I ever worked with was an awesome dude named Staff Sergeant Cohen, who became Warrant Officer Cohen. He's out of the military now, so it's Mr. Cohen. Sergeant Cohen, if you're watching this, what's up, sir? But he taught me, I remember we were we were running down Fort Bragg in Ardennes one day, and we saw this other NCO who was just screaming, cursing, yelling out this young dude, embarrassing both of them, right? And we were just like, yikes. And then Staff Sergeant Cohen taught me something that to this day I carry with me. He said, if you're ever going to yell at somebody, if you're ever going to condemn them, call them out right on the spot, the best way to do that is to whisper in their ear very slowly. Because people will listen harder when you whisper. And it won't embarrass them, and it won't embarrass you. So he said, whisper if you want to really speak to somebody and you want them to hear. So, that was one of the lessons I learned from the military. That's why I'm never a yeller or a screamer. If you do something right or do something wrong, I always feel like people will fight harder for you if they respect you and love you versus fear you. Like if I fear you, I'm just going to avoid you, right? But if I respect you, I'll listen a little bit harder. But Staff Sergeant Cohen taught me that, right? So those are one of the lessons I pulled from the military. But you were in the military for so long, even if it was a year, like there's 365 days in a year, you should have 365 lessons, right? Even if you were in it for a year, a decade, 20 years. But what is it that you learned from the military overall? Like I think about the system itself. I think about the solution, and I think about the structure. I mean, the military was all about structure. The military is very hard, but it's also very easy. The lifestyle is hard, but it was easy system to process, to follow. You didn't have to think about it. It told you where to live, where to eat, what to wear, how long you was going to live there. Like, you didn't have to think about it, so that made it easy. It was hard to implement, but it was an easy system to follow. There was no question. There was no uncertainty. It was like, this is where you're going to be. This is your contract at this base, at this time, be at that location. You know, hurry up and wait. But it was a very structured system to follow. So my thing is, what type of structure will you have? And how can you pull from the military structure? Because that's one thing the military did very great, regardless of how your time in service went. I want you to think about how you could pull from the military structure to kind of copy paste your own structure, right? Because I think many of us fail in transition out, not just unemployment, but also just the community piece is missing. You are surrounded by mentors, built-in leaders, and we leave that and we don't replace it with anything. So it also goes back to the mindset and the heart set. Mental health is such a big issue because now it's like you went into battle with a team and now you're outside battling solo. That's never cool, right? So the structure of the military, how are you going to replace that? How are you going to place the military system, right? The day-to-day system that you were part of with your own, and more importantly, like the end-all solution of being in the military produced a better version of you. So how are you going to come up with your own solution? So those are the 5 big things I'd be thinking about as I'm transitioning out of the military here in 2022. Your mindset, your money, your mentors, your model, but overall the military itself and what you learn. So I would encourage you, if you're listening to this, write down your 5 big lessons you learned in the military and how you can carry them over. Don't give me some garbage ass motivational stuff like work hard and responsible and disciplined. Like, give me some nitty gritty details of how you're going to implement your military service into your civilian CEO service for yourself. Because I want you guys to be super successful. Tongue twister. I want y'all to be super successful now that you are getting ready to transition out of the military. Because remember, soldiers don't get hired, business professionals do. So I want you guys to see yourselves and sell yourselves and brand yourselves as the CEOs you really are. All right, so that's it for today's Saturday sessions with the Soldiers Coach. Those are once again the 5 big things that we'll be doing as I'm getting ready to transition out of the military. I am Ritchie Thomas, a Soldiers Coach, and I would tell you peace out, but the reality is most of y'all need peace in. Thank you.
Matt.